This is the State of the City's address for 2009. I'd like to say good afternoon to everybody and welcome you all here to this new and exciting place for downtown. It's my pleasure to deliver the Fort Dodge 2009 State of the City address to you through this YouTube video for the first time in the history of Fort Dodge. I want to thank Memories in Motion, a local Fort Dodge business, for their willingness to create this video at their expense and at no cost to the city. Their company is an example of the many great resources we have in our community and how public and private entities can work together to accomplish more. You may access this YouTube video message by going to the Fort Dodge website at www.fortdodgeiowa.org and look for the State of the City 2009 link, or you may go to youtube.com and search Fort Dodge, Iowa, State of the City 2009. In our continued efforts to communicate often and open with our citizens, we hope to create more video messages to inform you of what is happening in Fort Dodge. Lean initiative. Challenging times call for us to challenge ourselves. In the next several weeks, our city will begin a lean initiative by engaging professionals experienced in creating leaner governments. Accepting change to a new form of government wasn't enough change for our staff already. We will soon be asking them for their continued cooperation in implementing this new lean initiative. I am challenging our staff and our city council to set a goal of reducing our operating budget by 3% over the next 2 years. This initiative is not about eliminating jobs, sacrificing public safety, or slowing down our infrastructure initiatives. It will be focused on giving our staff the resources they need to identify and implement ways in which to make their operations more efficient. We can meet this goal by embracing technology and investing in technology and in our staff's skills. This video message is a small example of how we can deliver our message using technology to create a more responsive government. Planning. In most cases, governments look for the most politically expedient solutions and do not plan for the long term. We have brought a level of planning to our city that was critically needed. The greatest asset we have in Fort Dodge is our shared vision of the future. As a result, the Envision 2030 planning, the city is now in a position and has applied for millions of dollars in federal grant funding. One federal grant will pay us far more than was spent on all of the planning. Without having a goal, it is difficult to score. If you know the score and keep the score will improve. Most of the new efforts underway are a direct result of 3 key initiatives identified in Envision 2030. Job retention and creation, increased safety for all, and reinvesting in our infrastructure to support economic growth. I'm excited to update you on the scores. Job retention and creation. I would like to introduce Denny Plotz, John Kramer, and Cindy Litweiler. Dennis is the Director of the Department of Business Affairs and Community Growth. John is the Director of the Fort Dodge and Webster County Development Corporation, and Cindy is the Marketing Director for the Development Corporation and also a City Council member. The goal of 1,880 new jobs in 10 years. If you recall, we set a goal of creating 1,880 jobs in 10 years. Know the score, keep the score, and the score will improve. Through the efforts led by Dennis, John, and Cindy, they have helped create 293 new jobs in our region since 2006. 68% of those have come from expansion of our existing businesses, with 22% coming from companies who have moved here. They have identified and are tracking another 595 new jobs that could come from both existing and new businesses. The number of leads they are monitoring has grown from just 6 in 2006 to over 60 today. Business is about building and maintaining relationships. Their efforts have developed many great relationships with our key employers and our state and federal elected officials. While there are no guarantees in business, we now have constant interaction and communication flow between our economic development staff and our existing businesses. Some of our citizens have expressed concerns recently about Pfizer Corporation purchasing Wyeth, Fort Dodge Animal Health. This is, I think, the third time in about 25 years that this business has been sold. We view this as an opportunity to form new relationships. Because of our relationships already formed in Washington, D.C., a few of us just last week had an opportunity to meet with Pfizer's Director of Federal Government Relations. We extended a warm welcome to them and explained how anxious we are to work with them in growing their business right here in Fort Dodge. While we still have a long way to go to reach our goal of 1,880 new jobs, I am pleased to say we have the people and the systems in place to achieve this goal. I cannot imagine our city surviving without these efforts. We are extremely fortunate in that our region is not suffering nearly as much as the rest of our country. This is time to be thankful for what we have. When was the last time you told your employer how much you appreciate your job and thank them for being here in Fort Dodge? It takes money to keep our economic efforts viable. If you have not contributed to our region's economic efforts, I would encourage you to call the Fort Dodge Webster County Economic Development Corporation office at 515-955-7788 and offer your pledge to John or Cindy. Thank you. Next, safety and security for all. I would like to introduce Doug Utley, Kevin Doty, Brian Michelson, and Kelly Heineman. Doug is the acting Fort Dodge Police Chief. Kevin Doty is the Assistant Fort Dodge Police Chief. Brian Michelson is the Webster County Sheriff, and Kelly is the Lieutenant of the Iowa State Patrol. The goal, increase law enforcement to reduce crime and create a safer community for all. This was the #1 priority listed by our citizens in the Envision 2030 plan. These folks have led their departments in dealing with this issue head on. We are seeing the results, the score. The Fort Dodge Messenger reported the crime rate in Fort Dodge dropped over 18% from 2007 to 2008. Through the cooperation between our city police department, the county sheriff's department, the Iowa State Patrol, and surrounding communities, they have begun many new crime-fighting initiatives. Last year, they created a program called POINT, which stands for Police Officers Interdicting Narcotics Traffickers. In addition, a hotspot program was started whereby multiple law enforcement agencies joined forces to give extra patrol to a given hot crime area. With new neighborhood watch programs and the curfews in place, more resources have now been added to our safety initiative. These programs last year resulted in 422 more citations than the 3,000 average issued each year. It was also responsible for 415 warnings, 41 searches, and 3 responses to fight calls over and above what a typical year would have generated. The score has improved because of their great cooperation from these departments working so closely together. This is an example of how our staff, when given the opportunity, will find better ways to serve our customers. The city has authorized the funding to fund 1 more police position. This will put a police officer back in our schools to build positive relationships with our youth. Thank you for your effort.